you say? Okay, there's one name. I got at least Martin, I don't give you that.
Council consultation after the meeting. That's right.
Some sort of old case and then you can continue, I guess. I don't know.
You can do that after your comment, I think.
Whatever town houses, first road, way lies, and spend all day. So, now you go to the court, they just have to say, pontificate on the.
Sixth grader looking up. She gets a phone. Sure, he makes her response. Like down the phone. Sixth grade as well.
Who ready to decide?
Waiting for somebody to tell me it's 7. I have 7. It's 7 o'clock, regularly scheduled time for our meeting. Nick, would you please call the roll?
Collier-Wise.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Holland. Humphrey. Mines. Price.
Here.
Sorensen.
Here.
Ward. Mayor Powell.
Here. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3 are minutes. We had minutes from November 21st special meeting and November 21st regular meeting. Motion and second to approve both sets of minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 4, adoption of the agenda. John, Mike, do you have any additions or corrections to the agenda? Okay. Motion and second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Under visitors to be heard, addressing the council, persons addressing the council shall use the microphone at the podium. Please raise your hand to be recognized. Go to the podium, state your name and address. For items not on the agenda, members of the public may speak under visitors to be heard on any topic not on the agenda. Remarks are limited to 5 minutes and no decision will be made at this time. For agenda items, public testimony will be taken at the beginning of each agenda item after the subject has been announced by the mayor and explained by staff. Any citizen who wishes may speak one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item. Public testimony will then be closed and the topic will be given to the governing body for possible action. At this point, only city council members and staff may discuss the current agenda item unless a council member wishes to allow another person to speak and there is unanimous consent from the council. Questions from council members, however, may be directed to staff or a member of the public through the presiding officer at any time. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on any topic not on the agenda? Seeing none, anyone in the council have any item that's not on the agenda? We'll move on to public hearings. Item A, retail on-off sale wine licenses for Shelby Manning for Studio Muse at 117 East Cherry. And Mike, please.
An application was received for the retail on-off sale wine license from Shelby Manning for Studio Muse at 117 East Cherry Street. The notice of hearing and the police chief's report are included in the packet. The license being applied for would run from the licensing period of January 1 to December 31st, 2017. The council has the ability to issue a license on basically 2 criteria: suitable person and suitable location. As to a suitable person, Shelby had the DCI background check completed, and this was noted on the police chief report. With respect to the location criteria, licenses, malt beverage licenses have been issued to businesses that are across the street to the north and further west on the street about a block. The $500 application fee will be retained by the city if the license is approved. Following input from the public hearing, the council will need to make a decision to approve or deny. If the motion is to deny, the reason will need to be included with the motion, and again, this would be for the licensing period January 1 to December 31st of 2017.
Thank you, Mike. Motion is second to approve the sale wine license for Shelby Manning for Studio Muse at 117 East Cherry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Carried. New business, item A, resolution adjusting water rates. Please.
During the 2017 budget process,
The light was on. Okay.
for the resolution to consider adjusting the water rates. During the 2017 budget process, it was proposed to adjust water rates 2% to generate additional revenues to meet the increased operating costs of the water utility. The water rates were last adjusted in January of 2016 by 2%. The proposed rate resolution is an overall increase of 2%. It's projected to generate $35,000 of additional revenue for the water fund based upon the average water usage. This would equate to a customer who used an average of 690 cubic feet per month. The rate increase would increase the monthly billing from $29.95 to $30.51, or an increase of 56 cents a month. The water rates also have an impact on the wastewater billing that is calculated in April. We'll monitor this and bring back any needed adjustments to the wastewater billing percentage in the April or May time frame. Administration would recommend the adoption of the resolution amending water rates, which would be effective with billing after January 1st. So it would be the bill comes out January 20s that would be due or delinquent after February 10th.
Thank you, Mike. Comments or questions for Mike? Motion and second to approve the resolution adjusting water rates. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, city fee schedule. John, please.
Thank you. This is a process that we started probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, where annually we present a comprehensive list of the different fees that the city charges to the city council. It became a good process for us to provide an opportunity for the city council and staff to review those, see if there have been changes, if things still seem to be in line, and then also to make adjustments if needed. As noted in your memo, there's just a couple of changes that are proposed this year. One is the water rate resolution increase that you just adopted. The only other change that we had that we were suggesting was adjustment to our special daily on-sale malt beverage and or the special daily on-sale wine license. We took a look at a handful of cities around the state, and we found that most of them tend to charge about $50 or more. What we're proposing is the $15 daily fee would go to $20. So for every day that one of these licenses is issued, there would be $20. The advertising fee would remain at $15. It's $15 just about for the advertising, the legal notice that we have to publish for those hearings. So there's no change proposed to that. So whether you have a 1-day or a 3-day event, your advertising fee is the same at $15. Your daily fee would change from the current $15 to $20 if those are the wishes of the city council. Included in your packet are basically 4 documents that we're asking you to consider approving. And I'll start with the, I guess in the back, if you will, of that. One is the malt beverage license that I just mentioned. There's a resolution revising that fee if the council feels that that's an appropriate adjustment to make. The other resolution is establishing fees for the new swimming pool. We put that into a resolution given that it's a new setup, a new format than what we had previously looked at in the past. So you have a resolution for that. There is the comprehensive fee schedule, which includes what is it, about 6 pages, 7, 9 pages of all the different fees, be it for a T-ball program, the ambulance fees that we charge, everything that the city has there. All those fees are charged. I would note that we did go in, and there's copies that were placed at the table tonight with respect to page 1, where it has a park and recreation fee. It's bolded in yellow in the copy that was left there. We did note that select programs may be eligible for financial assistance of 20, 40, or 75% based on documentation and approval. We did that because that notes the discussion that we had at the last meeting the Policies and Procedures Committee had at their meetings. And we have rates that applies if we have a young person that might be in a T-ball program or a swim pass, that sort of thing. So rather than put out all those different fees, we just labeled that or added that note there that the 20, 40, 75 based on the documentation has been discussed. And then the final document is a fee set by resolution. In the code book, there are certain sections, and you can see there it lists those, where some of our fees, we use the language set by resolution in the code book, and so those are specific actions that the council takes on a resolution basis. And so the document there lists all of those that fit in that category. It has the resolution, the code section, as kind of a description of what that fee is, some explanation of it, and then in the far right of that document, on the right-hand side, it tells you the last time that fee was adjusted. So that document, everything you find in the fee set by resolution would be in the comprehensive fee schedule, but we do break it down into two separate documents for the council or the public's review that way. So we'd recommend approval of the 4 documents and be happy to entertain any discussions the council might have.
Thank you, John.
John, is this fee schedule on the internet for whoever, citizens, if they have any questions?
That's a great question, and when I thought of this afternoon, and I went looking for it, and you weren't able to immediately pull it up. The best way to get there now would be to go to the December meeting where we adopt it in 15 and find it as one of the documents. Well, that's not the easiest way to do that. It's not what people would think of. So we're going to look at probably placing the comprehensive fee schedule on the internet once it's adopted by the council, be placed on our website.
Any other questions, comments? I would just note one, and that is there are a couple of instances where there are boundaries where less than 10, greater than 10, and just as a picky point, what if it's 10? So I think it probably should be less than or equal to 10 or whatever for the lower end, and then greater than 10 for the upper, but that's just on a couple of instances. Steve?
John, when you're proposing that we raise the daily malt beverage license from $15 to $20, was there any discussion among staff to raise it to higher, like $25, which would still be 50% of what most communities do? Or, was there any rationale, or you just didn't want to go too high too quick?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those we didn't want to adjust it too quick. I believe the last time it had been adjusted was 2010. And so, it's a little bit hard to say. We are one of the few communities who breaks ours down into the advertising fee and the daily charge. And so most of the rest of them have just a simple one charge that they do. And we try to break it down to what are some actual out-of-pocket costs that we as a community have, the advertising fee, and then trying to figure out a fee for the other part of it being Mike's time to work with the applicant, to review it, to get the documentation, the police department review, those sorts of things. I'm not going to say that $20 a day covers it all, but the bulk of the people who get these are also nonprofits. And so trying to balance out the nonprofits that are getting these versus some compensation for the privilege of selling alcohol as well as the use of staff time. So it's something we can continue to take a look at. We just, I think when we did it back in 2010, we bumped it $5. So that was, I guess, a little bit of a rationale.
Any further discussion? Anybody want to? Motion and a second to approve the city fee schedule. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item C, first reading of 2016 Supplemental Appropriation Ordinance 1350. And Mike, please.
The City Council adopted the revised budget for 2016 in September of 2016, and since that time, some expenses have taken place, resulting in the need to adjust the budget. A state statute requires the City Council to adopt a supplemental budget to provide funding for these items. I'll go through them. In general fund revenues, we had a contribution and donation from the Library Foundation for some computer equipment, and so we will adjust the expenses later on. We appropriated from reserve $25,000. In expenses, the street department had repairs. They had the diesel motor in a 2007 tandem truck failed that needed to be replaced at an estimated cost of $25,000. The truck is scheduled to be replaced in 2031. That was the reasoning behind placing a new motor in that. The swimming pool wages and chemicals, Jim Goblish Parks and Rec Director presented at that noon meeting his proposal to use some unspent items in the pool budget for personnel and chemicals from $36,700 to be used for expenditures for the new pool. And then our library furnishings and equipment, that line item was increased by $1,210 for the computer equipment that was funded by the Library Foundation. And then that $36,700 that was reduced in the swimming pool is being set up as an increase for the transfer to the Parks Capital Fund, or for the Prentice Park Capital Fund for the pool expenditures. Special revenue funds, the second penny sales tax, fire department equipment was increased $11,500 for some protective clothing that was ordered by the department, and the transfer to the City Hall debt service needs to be increased by $1,550 for the trustee fees for the refunding bonds. These were taken from the reserve, reducing the reserve from the second penny sales tax, the special revenue 911 fund. They're reducing their repairs and maintenance expense by $1,650 and increasing their furniture and equipment for some furniture that was acquired, so that nets out. The debt service fund for City Hall, that we had to increase the transfer from second penny for the trustee fees, and the fiscal fees were increased by that $1,550. The Prentice Park Capital Project Fund, we increased the transfer in and then the expense for $36,700. The Equipment Replacement Fund, with the county funding the purchase of that used ambulance, we increased contributed capital and we increased the expenditure for purchasing the ambulance. The general fund reserve will be reduced by $25,000. The second penny sales tax fund reserve will be reduced by $13,050. On the actual ordinance 1350, that Prentice Park Capital Project Fund, the revenues transfer in from general, I've got listed as $348,460. That should be $319,455 as a typo on my part, so the proposed budget then would increase $36,700. I can try to answer any questions on this.
Thank you, Mike. Any council members have questions for Mike? Steve, please.
I don't really have a question. I just want to assure the public that we have had meetings regarding most of these increases, so we're all kind of aware of them before we're voting on them.
Thank you. That's a good point. Mike didn't just spring these on us.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Thank you. That's an excellent point, and it's been said before, but people should remember that when we do budget meetings, we're setting policy as a member of the Policy and Procedures Committee. This is where a lot of decisions get made at those summer budget meetings, and we really hope people show up. So there's been a lot of work done on these, including this stage. So with that, I move approval.
Motion and a second to approve first reading of ordinance number 1350-2016 supplemental appropriations. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thanks, Mike. Item D, Business Improvement District Number 1 Board Member Appointment. We have one person whose term is not ending, but he's moved out. He's moving out of town, and so we need to replace Jim. Yeah. Jim. No, who we're replacing.
This is for Joe excuse me.
Oh, Joe Ecker, I'm sorry. This is the bid board, excuse me. And so the recommendation that I have is that we'll appoint Jonathan Buckles to a 3-year term on the bid board. He's the manager of Red Roof Motel. So I appreciate your movement on that. Motion a second to approve the appointment to the bid board. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. I was back on the tree board. Just a month late. Item E, final plat of lots 5 and 6, Block 4, Brooks Industrial Park Edition in the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 18, T92N, R51W of the 5th Prime Meridian, City of Vermillion, Clay County, South Dakota, portion of property addressed as 1322 East Cherry Street. And Jose, please.
Thank you. This is a replat of several lots, or a few lots over by on Cherry Street. If I may, there we go. Here would be Cherry Street, Norbeck, and Highway 50. And the property actually to be replatted would be the one that's within the heavy black line. And I will bring the plat. I guess I wanted to show this just because it's a little bit difficult when you look at the plat, especially here where the property is actually, it's not bounded by any street, so it's a little bit hard to visualize. But as far as the use is concerned, all the use within the lots that are going to be replatted into 2 lots is it's the same use. It's being used to store material for construction or crushed concrete or so forth. Again, this would be Cherry. This is, it's a building that has several, I think at one point it used to be a manufacturing site. I can't remember what for, but there's a Quonset that's attached to it on the back. The actual replat of it would essentially be combining all of quite a few lots, actually about 4 lots into 2 lots. And here, that would be the Quonset that was in the previous drawing. It complies with all of the requirements as far as the city ordinance, the subdivision ordinance. All of the easements, existing easements, would be vacated with this plat, and then they would be re-drawn up with the same plat. It's just cleaner to do it that way. But so we're not going to be losing anything. It's just it's a way for the property owners in this case to be able to exchange properties and clean up some of the title work and so forth. So with all that being said, administration recommends approval, and just for record, the Planning Commission did review this at their November 14th meeting, and they also recommended approval unanimously.
Just to follow up one of your comments, then the easements will come later?
No, they're going to be, the way that a lot of these easements were dedicated with the plats that are going to be vacated. So we're going to vacate all of those plats, and then with the same plat that we're going to be approving, we're also going to be dedicating
Okay, so that's
them all
part
again.
of this.
Yep, that's part of the actual verbiage or language of the plat. So.
Thank you. Council? Motion and second to approve the final plat of lots 5 and 6 and so on. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bid openings, fuel quotes, Mike?
Sheets on the screen or some sitting in front of you. Quotes requested on item 1, unleaded gasoline, Stern Oil was $1.86.74 cents. Item 2 would be number 1 and number 2 diesel fuel dyed. This is the blended cost of $1.81.69 cents. Item 3 is number 1 and number 2 diesel fuel clear. The blended cost is $2.11.33 cents. Second quotes from Burnick Service for item 1, $1.90. Item 2, the average cost $1.86. Item 3, the average cost $2.20. Stern Oil would be low on all 3.
Okay, Council?
Second.
Motion and second to accept low bids. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have City Manager's report. John, please.
Thank you. Just a reminder, Wednesday, December 7th at 6:30, there'll be a public meeting here in the City Council chambers on the Prentice Street lift station and the downstream sewer replacement project. That's a 2017 project. City staff will explain the project, take comments, and answer questions on that. And just a reminder again, that's Wednesday the 7th at 6:30 p.m. Also a reminder that a portion of Franklin Street, as it abuts the Armory and the parking lot south of the Armory, will be closed on Thursday, December 15th from 1 to 8:30 p.m., and that's for the Feeding Vermillion food giveaway program. Also, the retirement reception for Jane Larson, it was scheduled for late November. There was a snow event that day, and so it's been rescheduled, and it is this Friday, December 9th, and that is in the Kozak Room at the library from 4 to 6 p.m. Included in the City Council packet was a raffle notification from the Fraternal Order of Eagles. They are selling up to 2,600 $20 tickets until April 1st of 2017. Individuals must be 21 years of age to purchase a ticket and must pass a FFL background check. The prize that they have are 75 guns and a Liberty gun safe. The guns are valued between about $300 and $700, and the proceeds from this raffle are used to support the different charities that the Eagles support throughout the year. And then a final note, our Vermillion Housing Authority, HUD recently, or I guess it was about 2 months ago, they came and they completed their Section 8 Management Assessment Program of the Housing Authority. And that was for the fiscal year that ended June 30th. And the Housing Authority again received a perfect score of 100. And with that, they earned HUD's designation as a high performer. So we want to thank them for the good work they do in our community.
Thank you, John. Any comments or questions for our city manager? If not, then invoices payable. Any comments or questions for Mike on invoices payable?
Second.
Motion and second to pay our bills. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. No consensus agenda. Steve?
I would like to move that we adjourn the meeting. Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Very nice.